It's been said that he who is not bold enough to be stared at from across the abyss is not bold enough to stare into it himself. What's up, everybody? It's DisThunder from the Fwoosh, and today we're here to take a look at the Mezco 112 Collective Red Pyramid Thing, or more commonly known as Pyramid Head from Silent Hill 2. If you're close to my age, which puts you in your early to mid 40s, you may remember the time of the late 90s, early 2000s was very unique when it came to horror, especially in video games. There's a particular kind of melancholy and just general discomfort in the face of impending apocalyptic doom that really is unique to that time and really hasn't been replicated since. At least not to any satisfying conclusion. The masterful way that Silent Hill 2 plays with themes like guilt and repression is fascinating stuff that would be worthy of its own video, and I'm sure there's a dozen of them on YouTube. None of them are mine because it's kind of out of my wheelhouse, but there's just no two ways about it. When it comes to Pyramid Thing, he is a representation of some of the darkest and most evil repressed feelings of guilt and violence that you can find in a video game. But we're here to talk about the figures, so I should probably refocus on that. First thing I want to bring up is that he comes with two helmet options. The first one here on the figure is from the Silent Hill 06 movie. The second is obviously from the game. You can see it has those really uncomfortable fleshy details. I remember reading something that once that Ito said that he actually had nothing to do with that. That was something the designers added after he finished. You know, a lot's been made over the years about what's actually under the helmet on Pyramid Head. I always thought it was kind of like maybe a distorted, disfigured version of James's own face, but in the figure's case, it's just a helmet that pops on the peg, and I'll show you the body in a few when we do articulation. But in discussing other accessories, let's discuss weaponry. There are two major weapons he comes with. Let's first look at this great spear in detail here. Has a wrought iron quality to it, and actually the other accessories, they comes with a bunch of blood effects that I'm going to show you as well. I think there's one that fits the spear here. Let me see if I can fit there. Yeah, it goes through like this, so you can have it puncturing another figure, although I would do that carefully. Now, he uses both weapons in the game, but the one I most closely associate with Pyramid Head is, of course, going to be the Great Sword, which is this butchering monstrous thing here you see with this fantastic patina and rusted detail to it. And as you might expect, it also works with several of the blood effects. I will fumble through that for you here for your enjoyment. I found this one to work especially well, very dynamic. Has some good motion to it. And while we're on the subject of blood effects, he comes with this excellent little piece that will wrap around a figure's waist, or limb, as you can see here with Chris Redfield. Something like that. And it's little details like this that make me really wish that they had somehow been able to hold on to the Mortal Kombat license back when 112 Collective started. You will also find, I think it's 9 of these little detailed creepers. They're not articulated or anything, but they are disgusting and very... I wouldn't leave those around the house. I'm just going to put it that way. Speaking of things you probably don't want to leave laying around the house, he also comes with one mannequin PVC piece. I'm sure everybody remembers playing the game the first time you encounter Pyramid Head and a couple of these mannequins in the apartment building. And I think this is, actually it's fantastically painted. It's really nicely done. It's just something I'm not super comfortable with showing in review, let alone leaving on the shelf. Still, they did a great job with it. Like I mentioned earlier, to look at articulation, we're going to take the helmet off so you can see that there actually is a double ball-jointed neck underneath with a surprising range of motion to it, just something you're not going to get with the helmet on for obvious reasons. However, the ball-jointed shoulders, the double elbows, the ball-jointed wrists, they all have a great range of motion, probably better than anyone was anticipating. Underneath his butcher's robes, you'll find that he has double-jointed knees and ball-jointed hips, as is standard for 112 Collective, but they have a pretty damn good range of motion, all things considered. It's not a costume that lends itself to a lot of flexibility, and yet it seems to do just fine. Of particular note, I wanted to mention that it feels like the ankle pivot has been improved on this figure as well. They're very stiff. They work well, but that helps balance out the figure, especially with the helmet on and with the sword in hand. And here's a look at the back of the butcher's robe. You can see there is a zipper, so you could remove it, I guess, if you wanted to go for the movie-style look. And of course, we should probably attempt some kind of comparison for scale's sake here. You have a Marvel Legends zombie cap, you have the aforementioned excellent Chris Redfield figure, and one of the Patriot Studios zombies here. And you can see he is still a fairly large guy. He's more in that subset of horror scale for Mezco, where they're not quite as massive as I think we picture them as until you get them in hand. But to balance that out, let me bring in Supreme Knight Batman, because that's my measuring stick right there. And again, looking at the two of them side by side, I think that's a perfect scale. Pyramid Head's not really a massive guy until we get into the movies and the remasters and all the other stuff. So that means when we come to the $100 question, which is, of course, do I recommend this figure? I can say pretty comfortably, yeah, this is pretty damn cool, all things considered. There's just not a lot of Silent Hill merchandise out there as it is. So to get something this cool and articulated and quality, well, if you're even slightly a fan of the franchise, it's probably something you should pick up. For me, it's almost more, he's a piece of, how do I want to put this, like iconography of a period of time in culture that I'm very fond of, if that makes any sense. Maybe to put it simpler, he kind of personifies 90s video game horror to me in really perfect form. So if that sounds like something you need to pick up for your collection, I would recommend going over to mezcotoys.com and hopping on the waitlist. Although as I am publishing this, I think he's still available on some other sites like Entertainment Earth, so shop around if you don't see it right away. But as far as a review goes, I think that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for coming by to watch and check it out. Hope it was informative. Thank you, of course, to Mezco Toys for helping me get one to review for you guys. And I will see you guys soon again with something massive. We shall talk soon.